Ooh, ooh, ooh. Do you hear that, Chris?
Yeah, that sound can only mean one thing. It's the spookiest time of the year.
Yes, and if you like being spooked out, then you should head over to YouTube right now.
Yeah.
youtube.com/HowToSurvivePod, because we've just put up our latest marathon video. Last year, Halloween, you may recall we watched the Saw franchise, all the Saw movies back to back while we were chained to a wall. Like in the film, when he's chained to the wall.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. This year, we've gone all out and watched the Final Destination franchise.
Yeah, it was easily the most requested series for us to cover next on the YouTube comments.
And we did it in straitjackets.
Yeah, just like that scene in the movie, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A good scene.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well researched.
Yeah, Clear River's straitjacket scene is
iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If more on that when you tune in to the video, which is on YouTube.
Yes.
youtube.com/HowToSurvivePod.
Do go and check it out.
Yes. Thanks very much. And now, as I was saying, hello, and welcome to episode 166 of the How to Survive podcast. My name is Joe, and joining me with his expressionless mask hiding a dark and evil soul, Christopher Morris. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good. It's like Christmas Day for us in many ways.
Halloween?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're horror movie fanatics.
Yeah. Do you mean the day, the film, the franchise, the remake?
All of the above, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's only one of them that we're talking about today.
Yes, David Gordon Green's remake sequel.
Yeah. Reboot. Cool.
Yeah. Well, let's get our story straight. It is categorically it is a sequel to the 1978 John Carpenter movie Halloween.
40 years ago this year.
Yes, and they've basically retconned all the sequels out of existence.
Yes.
So this is a direct sequel to that, and nothing's meant to have happened in between.
Yeah. So ignore all your H20s and your Season of the Witch and all those sorts of things.
Yeah. However, it does function as a remake and a reboot.
Yeah, it's a bit of a Star Wars The Force Awakens vibe.
Yeah. Like you've got the same story happening.
Yeah.
But then the characters you want to see all show up and do what you want them to do.
Yeah.
More on that later when we talk about the movie. And when we talk about it, we really talk about it. We're talking about how we'd survive in it, obviously, because we're How to Survive. But we want to talk about a bit about what we thought about it as well.
Yeah.
We want to approach it from all angles.
Yeah. We want to hide behind a dark corner, wait for the film to come out, sneak up behind it, and just really talk about it.
Yeah.
In detail.
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what we do.
Yes.
But there are spoilers.
There are lots of spoilers.
As you alluded to there with your almost spoiler-filled suggestion that someone hides in the shadows in the movie.
Yeah.
There are spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen the new Halloween movie and you are saving it for perhaps tonight, Halloween, maybe you're going to the cinema with a loved one.
Yeah.
Or alone. More likely that
we don't judge.
If you listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
Then don't listen anymore and then come back when you have seen the movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't care about that sort of stuff, then just ride it on out.
Yeah.
And it will all be over in about an hour's time.
Yeah.
So, with all that said, enjoy this trailer for the movie.
Testing 1, 2, 3. We're on.
We're here to investigate a patient that killed 3 innocent teenagers on a Halloween in 1978. He was shot by his own psychiatrist and taken into custody that night, and has spent the last 40 years in captivity. Hello, Michael. I have something you might like to see.
So, Chris, a quick plot recap.
Please.
For anyone who hasn't seen it, because presumably this is going to be entered into the Podcast Museum Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So people might be listening to this in the year 2800 or something.
Yeah.
2800?
Well,
year 20,800.
They might have just watched Halloween H80.
Yeah.
And in 40 years' time and thought, I wonder if there was some sort of resource where I could learn everything that there was about the previous Halloween film. Because they definitely won't make another one for another 40 years, Joe.
I wouldn't say everything, mate. My research has not been that thorough. 40 years after the events of Halloween, Michael Myers has been in...
Halloween the film, you mean?
Yeah.
Not just a day.
Or Hallows Eve.
Yes.
Yeah. But we say every year we should look up what Halloween is about. We never do.
Yeah.
I think
in many ways, that's one of my favourite podcast traditions.
Yeah, well, not doing any research.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. 40 years after the events of Halloween, the movie, Michael Myers has been in a psychiatric care facility and hasn't uttered a word to anyone, which makes his... that's why they haven't filmed it. It would be boring.
Yeah.
Laurie Strode has spent the intervening decades fortifying a house and preparing with military levels of ambition should Michael Myers somehow make his return. Her dedication to the task of stockpiling weapons and learning to fight led the authorities to place her daughter, Karen, who's now grown up, in foster care.
So far, so T2.
Yeah. Karen is now grown up and has a daughter of her own, Alison, who is just old enough to have friends who are babysitters.
Convenient.
Yeah. The three women have a relationship, but it is touchy due to Laurie's apparent PTSD from the Michael Myers attack 40 years previously, and the fear that Michael will return. Predictably, Michael Myers escapes from his prison.
Yeah, they're moving him to...
Another prison.
Another prison, which is described as a hellhole because the psychiatric facility has done all the research it can with a man who doesn't speak or do anything for 40 years.
Oh, mate. So he escapes.
Yeah.
And he kills a pair of podcast hosts who were in possession of his mask.
Yeah, I didn't like that bit.
No.
Too close to home.
So they got his mask to kind of lure him into talking. He doesn't talk. He just kills him.
Yeah. It's like a sort of This American Life style.
I think
or like a BBC, you know.
I think Serial was what they was getting at because they were like, oh, we talk a lot about...
Yeah, they say they're award-winning podcast hosts. Yeah. I mean, who isn't, mate?
Yeah. Yeah.
Us.
Yeah. We've won awards.
Have we?
You can
win. Must not have passed on the email, I think.
No, we haven't even been nominated for anything.
No.
We're really bad. Don't listen to this anymore. Turn it off. Go listen to something else. So Michael returns to Haddonfield on Halloween night, which obviously everyone's wearing masks, so it allows him the perfect cover to enter the houses of women and murder them.
Yep.
That's great. Shortly, he zeroes in on Alison, who you'll recall is Laurie's granddaughter, returning home from a party. And after a series of run-ins, including one in which Michael Myers' doctor kills a policeman because he wants to understand Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Just wants to know what it's like to kill.
He wants to stop the police officer murdering Michael Myers. The deputy is the deputy who was the first responder to Michael Myers' murder in... 40 years ago. Yeah. None of these people move ever. And
is the same actor?
No, it's not. It's not really him, Joe.
Okay.
It's a device that they came up with.
Right.
He regrets not putting Michael out of his misery at the time, despite the fact that Michael has not gone on to do anything for the intervening 40 years.
He's pure evil.
But he steadies himself ready to shoot Michael in the head for his crimes. And the doctor suddenly turns heel and stabs him in the neck with a pen razor, like scalpel.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
It's fine. And then he puts on the mask.
This sort of old Albert Einstein looking dude.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a thing that happens in the film.
Alison escapes into the woods. Michael finds his way to Laurie's fortified house, where she has barricaded herself in with Karen. That's her daughter. Beautiful. Laurie hunts Michael around the house, but is beaten in hand-to-hand combat and thrown through a window. Alison arrives at the house and joins her mother in the basement. Michael is drawn in by Karen's shrieks of terror, But as he comes close, she reveals that it was all an act and shoots him in the head.
Mm-hmm.
Emerging from the shadows, Laurie stabs him and he falls into the basement. Laurie reveals that the entire house is designed to be an inescapable trap specifically for Michael and locks him in the basement before burning the building to the ground.
Yeah.
The three women escape in a passing pickup truck.
Yeah.
Which I think was an odd ending because...
It's almost like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre reference, isn't it?
Or I thought as well Friday the 13th.
Right.
The car pulls up.
Yeah,
they get in it without you seeing who's driving it.
Right.
Which is like, come on.
Yeah.
You're supposed to see who's driving it.
Yeah.
If you don't know who's driving it...
You wanted it to be Mrs. Voorhees.
Yeah, I did, yeah. They want to just drive onto the set.
And that's how Jason Blum announces the reboot of Friday the 13th.
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
I hate Friday the 13th at this point, but I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
So...
That was the end of the film, yeah.
That is it. That is the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I enjoyed it quite a lot more than I expected, or perhaps should have.
Right.
I went into it in an absolutely foul mood, as you recall, because you were with me.
Mm-hmm.
And everything about the screening should have made things worse for my mood.
Yeah, you're famously bad at putting up with bad behaviour from your fellow audience members.
Yeah, I mean, if I could watch every movie in a sensory deprivation tank, I would.
Yeah.
But this was more like watching it at a line dance.
Right.
It was people up and down at their seats,
Yeah.
running up and down the aisles, talking, texting, commentating. I think commentating on the film is one of the weirdest things for me. I've never sat and watched a film and been like... Because people do that. You watched it with people, I'm sure. And they're like, oh, don't open that door, you silly bitch.
Yeah, well, it's the stereotype, isn't it, of horror movie crowd, people saying don't go in there.
Yeah, but why? I've never been compelled to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the point that you're going to get to at the end of this anecdote is that actually it didn't bother you as much because it felt like the right sort of atmosphere in which you should watch the film.
Yeah, that's basically true.
Yeah. I watched Get Out with a similar audience.
Yeah.
Which, like you say, you spend the first sort of 20 minutes bristling, and then actually you realise that it's probably the perfect sort of audience to watch it with because
they're so with it.
Right, exactly, yeah. And it's like your enjoyment is enhanced by... Because obviously we watch a lot of horror movies and a lot of the scares and the tropes and everything fall flat for us.
Because you've seen it so many times.
Because we've seen it so many times. But when you're with a group of people who are reacting, as perhaps the filmmaker intends, it probably heightens the enjoyment of the movie for you.
Yeah, and I'd say that, there were moments when everyone was like hooting and hollering.
Yeah.
But there were moments when it was like that you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
And those were the parts where it should have been like when she's going around the house with the torch looking for Michael. Those were...
those were tense moments.
Yeah, but now I have a feeling you didn't have as good a review of it as I did.
Yes, I didn't really like it. I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I found the first 2/3 to be a sort of mixture of boring and unpleasant, which is they're not positive traits for a movie to have.
Boring and unpleasant.
Yeah, I know it's a horror movie,
but
did we really need quite so many scenes of Michael murdering just random women?
And children.
Yeah. Like the child who gets his neck broken in the back of his dad's car. It's pretty unpleasant. The podcast host woman, producer, who gets her neck broken in a petrol station toilet cubicle.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is, right, I'd say it didn't buy into these people enough for you to care when they died.
Yeah.
But it didn't make them background dressing enough for you to think, oh, it's just a person he's killed.
Yeah, I think
somewhere in the middle.
The point is made. When you see Michael Myers entering a house, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need to see him stab a woman through the back of her head so hard that the knife comes out the front of her face.
Right.
You don't necessarily need to see the bloody remains of a woman that he's beaten to death with a hammer at her kitchen table, because the point has been made just by seeing him enter the house. You know what's going to happen. They could have done that in I think, a bit of a classier way, maybe. But the point I'm getting to is that the final third I thought was much better.
Which is where it becomes Laurie versus Michael.
Yeah, it becomes Home Alone.
Yeah.
Laurie Strode in Home Alone.
Yeah.
Which, as it turns out, is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
That's what
absolutely
you
fine with
wanted
that.
after all. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Right. Because the combination of this survivalist prepper being in her environment with it's a bit like Alien, right?
Yeah.
You know, woman in peril in a familiar environment is trying to track down and isolate a murderous,
threat, yeah.
murderous threat. That was good, and the part right at the end of the film where Karen, Laurie's daughter, played by Judy Greer, in a sort of
career best.
well, no, just like that's just the role that she always plays, is the sort of nagging mum.
I don't know. I find her quite sympathetic.
But
Whenever
she
she's in it,
is sympathetic.
Yeah.
But then basically, the way the scene plays out is that Karen is isolated in the basement, and she loads a gun, and then she holds the gun up ready to shoot Michael if he appears, and then she breaks down saying that she can't do it. And you've seen this scene a million times in horror movies before, and what you're thinking is that the granddaughter is going to be the one who picks up the gun, or that Laurie's going to burst out and, you know, attack Michael at the last second or something like that. But actually, as soon as Michael steps into view, she says, "Gotcha," and like snaps out of her sort of emotional state and just like puts a bullet straight in his head.
Like, perfect shot.
Yeah, exactly. And that is a perfectly played moment. I loved that moment.
Yeah. I quite liked it when he fell down the stairs and you think he's dead for a second, and then he just sits bolt upright.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's exactly in the way that he sits bolt upright in the original film.
It's like for the wrestling fans out there, it's like The Undertaker.
Right.
That's what he does in the ring.
Okay. I wonder if that's where he got it. But here's I think the truth about Halloween and Michael Myers in general. Michael Myers is boring.
Yeah.
Right? When you think about all the great horror movies of the past few years, and also of just the past in general, all the great horror movies, they all have something to say, or they have a point that they want to make. Yeah. Generally, and those tend to be the films that we like the most as well.
Yeah, there's It Follows is about, you know, sexual awakening.
Yeah, I know.
Get Out is about
racial politics.
Yeah.
And I know you want to talk about slashes in general a bit later, and that this sort of, I think, plays into that. But the Halloween and by extension, Michael Myers and by extension Halloween have nothing to say. Right, Michael Myers has nothing to say, literally, and as a result, the film has nothing to say, and it does not speak to me as a result. Yeah. And like, once that is no longer a consideration in a horror movie, you seek to enjoy it on other terms. So, is it visually interesting, like Mandy, the film that we're covering next week is? Does it have creative kills or creative use of violence and scares? I don't think it does.
Not necessarily, no.
And does it have great tension? Like you probably vary depending on your personal tastes. I think this version of Halloween offered quite little for me in any of those respects.
As someone who has seen a lot of horror films.
Right, exactly. And the story is told in the first movie, right? There is no story left to tell. Yeah. The story is, you know, man with knife kills people until he's stopped. That is the whole story. Yeah. The reason it's scary originally is because it was a revolutionary original. Yeah, it was kind of
violence
film.
Come to suburbia, right?
Right, exactly. And it's not effective to do that because 40 years later, because we've seen it so many times.
I don't think this movie is necessarily trying to do that. It's more like saying, like, if you can imagine this as a graphic novel, right? It's Ash versus the Evil Dead. It's Alien versus Predator. It's Laurie versus Michael Myers.
Well, but
if Laurie, when she grew up, turned into Sarah Connor, like you said earlier.
Yeah, I understand that. And those were my favourite parts of the film. But the first 2/3 of the film is essentially a rote remake of the original.
Yeah.
And we know from the failures of all of the Halloween sequels prior to this that the mythology that they attempt to build around a character like Michael Myers doesn't work. Right. There is no story left to tell, right? There's just not enough there, right? And even more so, right? If you take him outside of the context of him just being essentially a faceless killer with a single motivation, which is what he is in the original film. You know nothing about him other than the fact that for whatever reason this person is compelled to kill, people violently at all times.
But for a reason that's never stated.
Right. His actions don't make any sense in this film with that in mind, because why wouldn't he kill the baby that we see him walk past?
Yeah,
right?
so there's a point made of him he kills a child at one point, he kills women, he kills men, he kills everyone. There's a crying baby. And I think you when we came out of the cinema and saw it, you said they're, from a filmmaking perspective, kind of dangling the baby over a cliff.
Right, yeah. And then the point is that he doesn't kill the baby, right? But why doesn't he kill the baby? It doesn't make any sense for his character to not kill the baby, right? That feels like a concession to taste, which undermines the character, right?
Because he kills a 10-year-old child earlier in the film,
right?
Which is
exactly.
Like all like as
is it 10-year-old boy is all right?
But a
child
baby
isn't,
because if for Michael Myers anyway, there's no real difference between a 10-year-old boy and a baby,
right? And if your only desire is to kill, and it's not based around any ideology, then what difference does it make?
Yeah.
Why would he wait in the closet for the babysitter? Right, when there's a wealth of other potential victims, it doesn't make sense for him to just stand in a cupboard. Right, he could just kill the kid. Right, he could just kill the kid. He could just go downstairs, overpower and kill.
Because he wants a kill count. That's what it seems from.
Right,
how he acts generally.
Yeah, why? This is, the main issue. I think, story wise, why bother going after Laurie? Well, why bother if you're a mindless killer? Do mindless killers hold a grudge?
Well, this is it, isn't it? I mean, to give him a vendetta or a nemesis suggests that he has something going on under the mask.
Right.
When the point has always been that he's kind of an agent of chaos.
Right.
Like
Terminator versus Sarah Connor works because the Terminators
programmed to attack her.
Right. Yeah. The Terminators are specifically designed to kill Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
Right. That's why that works.
Yeah.
This is the equivalent of, I don't know, being hurt in a random attack.
Yeah.
And then dedicating the rest of your life to preparing for
the same attack.
Right, exactly.
All right. I agree with what you're saying completely, but I'm going to give a bit of a bit of centrist balance.
Right.
So I liked some parts of it.
Okay.
I liked the fact that it didn't really take itself too seriously.
Right.
Which is a problem that I've had with other remakes, like, say, Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, which we've covered in the past, those remakes. And they are, generally speaking, dreadful because they forget that they're supposed to be fun.
Yeah, because all of these films have a sort of schlocky element when they're made in the 80s.
Yeah.
But I think nowadays it's almost like the filmmakers don't want people to laugh at the film.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Which is, that might explain why in this one, Michael Myers is killing children and he's killing like in close up and he's making people suffer more than he did in the original film.
Yeah, I guess so.
It makes him more menacing, but it doesn't make the film more enjoyable.
Yeah, but then as you're about to say, I think that there's quite a few jokes in there as well and sort of funny lines. It's co-written by Danny McBride, who's
Eastbound and Down.
Eastbound and Down. He's definitely more known for comedy.
Yeah, but the jokes don't work. They don't work at all. The funniest things, like you alluded to earlier, are when, say, the joke is on Michael Myers, or when he sits up unexpectedly, or when he's not, when she opens the cupboard and there's a dead body in there instead of Michael Myers. Like, these are all things that catch you by surprise because they are surprising, but not because they're funny.
Yeah. You
find yourself laughing out of, tension rather than...
Yeah, I mean, there are a few actual jokes as well, I think.
There's about a 3-minute scene where there's two policemen discussing a sandwich.
Yeah,
which
feels like we need a funny icebreaker scene, and it fell flat.
It's so boring.
Yeah.
Well, tonally there were clangers in there, but overall, I think it was probably a fairly realistic answer to the brief of, we want a reboot of Halloween set 40 years after the original.
Yeah.
When we covered the original, I remember finding it a little boring and quite campy.
Right.
And I say that now because I'm on record saying it, literally.
Okay.
But I think, in retrospect, that's purely a consequence of its age. and shouldn't really take away from like John Carpenter's vision and legacy when he made it, because it was groundbreaking at the time. It's just that we've seen these so many times now that you can't watch Halloween as a horror movie fan today and be like, oh, it's really scary.
If this was the second slasher ever made, then it would probably be a lot better for it.
Right, exactly. If you were to put yourself in 1978 and imagine seeing Halloween, you'd be watching an unpredictable and genuinely frightening movie, right?
Yeah.
Michael Myers is extremely upsetting as a villain. You know, despite what you said earlier about him being boring.
Yeah.
In Halloween, he's scary because you don't know what he's going to do next. He's an unstoppable force with a knife who's in your house and wants to kill you.
Yeah. Well, it's just a common fear, basically, isn't it? The idea of finding a giant, towering, unstoppable man in your house.
Yeah, exactly.
Is a scary thought.
And Jamie Lee Curtis in the original is very believable and engaging as a vulnerable but somewhat capable victim.
Yeah.
To some extent, we still get all these feelings when we watch Halloween, the new one. But the hunter has become the hunted. And like I said, it's alien versus predator sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's a grudge match, basically, between two people who have a score to settle.
Yeah.
Which is a compelling idea on paper. But like you said, it falls down when you think about what score does Michael Myers possibly have to settle with Laurie.
Yeah. It's fan fiction.
Yeah.
That's what this film is, essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in the original, he's like emotionless and unpredictable. He wears a mask which is deliberately blank. You could call it featureless despite the fact that it has features. It's just like a blank canvas, right? And he's essentially there to kill babysitters indiscriminately. Yeah. So when all the people are like the sheriff and the DA and all these people are like, oh, he's pure evil. We don't know what's going on in that mind of his. That's, like you say, that's not the story.
No.
It's not a story.
Yeah. It's an absence of a story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it's enigmatic in the original film, and it's enigmatic in 1978, but therefore it doesn't work if you try and build a series around it.
Yeah.
I think it just feels like a film that could have been made 40 years ago. It feels like the original, obviously. And it might have moved on a bit politically since then, because you've got 3 quite strong, capable women in the film, and even the granddaughter is given a moment where she, pushes someone who's trying to kiss her to the floor and, humiliates him and things like that.
And then he gets killed by Michael Myers.
Yeah, but as I said, I think earlier, I didn't really find it particularly interesting until it broke out on its own and started doing its own thing. Yeah. But that said, the reveal that Dr. Sartain is so obsessed with Michael that he has sort of, he harbours murderous impulses himself is... Yeah. I mean, I didn't think my eyes would ever face forwards again. Because they rolled so much.
Yeah. Snapped a tendon rolling your eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He's pretty much the worst part of the film, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
And Jamie Lee Curtis is the best, do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Country Mile.
Yeah, she's very good. I wish the final third of the film was what the whole film was like.
You're right, you want Don't Breathe. But instead of it was Michael Myers trying to kill Jamie Lee Curtis.
Right, exactly. And I think she very ably and capably plays the impact of the long-term impact of a traumatic event.
Yeah. She's like has moments of appearing to be like ranting and raving and paranoid.
Right. But I don't think we have enough of those moments. Because those are the scenes you want to see almost, because you want to see how the character, if you care about Laurie Strode, then that's what you want to see. You want to see how the character has developed in 4 decades. Yeah. And you're not so bothered with, I wasn't so bothered with the
rest of it.
Michael Myers pacing around a street, as we know he is wont to do.
You've got, I mean, if you want to measure the impact that Jamie Lee Curtis has on the movie, just think about the scenes that don't have her or Michael Myers in. Yeah. You've got the main storyline is Alison, the granddaughter, and her boyfriend meet her parents, go to a dance, he cheats on her, which takes up about 30 minutes of the film, right? And it appears to be just a way to get her phone off her, so she can't be phoned.
Right.
Like the boyfriend is never seen again in the movie. There's no character arc for him or for her. Yeah. There's no subtext and there's no lessons learned by anyone. It's just like what is it? Wallpaper.
Yeah,
It's
I guess
filler.
it's character development, isn't it? But it does come across as filler. I didn't mind those things so much.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea that you have a Halloween ball in Haddonfield and no one's going dressed as Michael Myers is a bit ridiculous.
Well, you think someone would?
Yeah,
40 years on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they might have banned it. I don't know. But I thought that was where the film was going anyway. That he would turn up to the ball to get the granddaughter, and she would go up to him and be like, "That's not funny. Like my grandmother was really traumatized."
But that would have been good.
No,
But instead you've got like, oh, my boyfriend's cheated on me.
Yeah, and Michael Myers is in a garden.
Yeah, right. Like you said earlier, Judy Greer as Karen is good because she commands a sense of sympathy just by being in a scene, I think.
Yeah.
She plays stressed out mum very well.
Mm.
But the rest of the cast are just generic teen slasher movie characters.
Yeah.
Which is good on the one hand because it feels like it's a true telling of the Halloween story. And if you are remaking it, maybe you should do that. But it's fairly useless because at times it's just like off the page remake.
Yeah.
You've got the doctor, the sheriff, the babysitter, characters who are near identical to the originals.
Yeah.
In almost their like dialogue as well. It's appalling.
Yeah.
If my point before was that Halloween has suffered by being too influential because it's, been the genesis of so many tropes, it stands to reason that using those exact tropes to like bolster your film is going to end badly.
Yeah.
So, slasher movies.
Yeah. This is a slasher movie.
This is a slasher movie. It's the first one we've covered. Well, they say it's the first modern one we've covered in a little while.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking through the back catalogue to find, modern slashers that we'd covered, and it's been a while.
There's not many.
Yeah.
How do you feel about slasher movies at this point?
Well, I think they are and have always been really formulaic. And because of that, you need a sort of secondary level on which they're operating to make them interesting. So you've got something like Happy Death Day, which takes the Groundhog Day time loop idea, and someone's trying to solve their own murder, basically. So in that sense, the slasher, I haven't seen it, but I think she is the only one who dies.
Triangle as well.
Triangle is, I guess another example of that, yeah. It Follows, which we covered a long time ago, has the slasher be a curse that is passed on through sex, which is a sort of interesting political, way of looking at it.
Existential thing. I made a specific note about that being maybe the most imaginative one we've ever covered.
Yeah, probably.
And that's 5 years old now.
Yeah. Predator is basically a slasher movie, but the slasher is an alien.
Yeah, and the slashies are like
military men.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then, I guess you could say the Saw franchise is to some extent a slasher movie, and that adds an element of interest by the slasher having a sort of strange method.
Yeah.
So you've got either, form, politics, like a monster, or the way in which people are dying. Those are the ways that you make a slasher movie interesting. And Halloween, the 2018 version, essentially has none of these.
No.
Right. And the original, as we said before, was revolutionary because it was grounded in a way that most horror movies weren't at the time. It was just a man stabbing people.
Yeah.
Right. With no supernatural stuff, no frills. Right. Halloween 2018 is basically the same until the Home Alone stuff. And in that sense, it's not really advancing the genre in any meaningful way.
No, quite right. Well, I agree. So you think this should not be entered into the Museum of Film?
It's an interesting artifact, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's a great example of people have 4 decades to think up an appropriate sequel to an iconic film, and the idea that they land on is make the same film again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With guns.
Yeah. It's not even with guns, really.
But he does it again. He gets shot, doesn't he?
Well, yeah, he does. Yeah, but
it's not like he's walking around carrying
he's not.
people.
He's not carrying guns.
Yeah, they should do like what Aliens did and have more Michael Myers.
Yeah, Halloweens.
Yeah. Halloweens. So until Halloweens comes out, we've pretty much covered from all angles, I think.
Yeah, do you think there will be a sequel?
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
It's cash cow.
Apparently, if you wait till the end of the credits, you can hear Michael breathing.
Great. Why didn't we stay around for that, mate? That would have been excellent. Problem is, mate, it's slashed box office records.
Right.
Because it's been well marketed. And it is...
it's on every bus and...
Yeah. I was excited to see it.
Yeah.
Were you?
Yeah, moderately. I was interested in seeing it.
Yeah.
It was...
I quite like that the mask is the same mask and it's kind of like weathered and wrinkled like a face would be.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
But that's about all that's interesting about it. And it's on the poster.
Yeah.
All right. So with all that said, if you were unfortunate enough to find yourself in Haddonfield on a spooky night much like this one, how would you survive it?
Well, I want to start with the podcasters who die quite early on in the film.
Right, okay.
But this is not really a survival tip so much as a production note.
Okay.
There's a scene early
if you want to survive with having a podcast audience.
Yeah, I don't know if they've just fired their producer or something recently for this new series of their podcast. But award-winning podcasters should know to use radio mics at the very least, or a boom mic, or at least a windsock on their microphones if they're recording sound outside, right? There's the scene in the prison yard where they confront Michael Myers.
Right, so this is a mental scene.
Yeah.
Right?
Imagine, it opens the film, essentially, doesn't it?
So you got Michael Myers stood in the courtyard and these two podcasters come out and they're like, oh, Michael. And the doctor's like, he hasn't spoken in like 40 years, mate. Fuck off. He's not going to talk to you. Yeah. And they're like, he'll talk to me because I've got the mask.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And then it's just like, Michael, talk, say something. How inappropriate to go into a mental asylum and just like shouting at a patient over and over again while in the pursuit of a journalistic inquiry. That would be mental.
Yeah. Imagine
Louis Theroux going like, oh, I've gained access to this like mental facility.
Say something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't happen.
No. He's lost his critical distance.
I think so.
But more to the point, everything that they've recorded in that prison yard is going to sound abysmal because you can see how windy it is by their coats.
Yeah.
They're blowing, feet away from them.
Dogs barking.
Yeah, there's people shouting and all sorts of things. Yeah. And it looks like what they're using to record...
it's a Zoom mic, isn't it?
It's like a Zoom handheld recorder, which has two dictaphone-style microphones on the top of it. It would be completely useless, unusable, that sound.
Yeah, so it would be something like this. Michael, say something.
It would be total nonsense. And they would have wasted a day of their time and wasted the access that they were granted to Mike Myers. Mike Myers, that's correct.
First name terms.
The actor.
Short name terms. Yeah, Mike Myers, that's a good joke in Baby Driver.
Yeah.
The Austin Powers masks.
That was apparently they couldn't get the license to use the image
of Michael Myers.
Yeah, so to explain, in Baby Driver, there's a scene where some robbers turn up to rob a bank and they've got Mike Myers masks, which is the actor playing Austin Powers. Yeah. In fact, they are basically Austin Powers masks, aren't they? And one of them says, "What are these?" And he says, "You told me to get Michael Myers masks." Yeah. But apparently that was because they couldn't license the image for Michael Myers mask for use in Baby Driver from the producers of this new film.
Really? Why?
Yeah. I guess they don't want a film that's coming out shortly before their film to,
that's weird.
Basically poke fun at Mike Myers. I don't know. They want to have brand integrity.
What's Mike Myers doing these days, mate?
I don't know.
Yeah, he mental asylum 40 years. Hasn't spoken a word. All right. A fair point. I think that's good tips.
Yeah.
There's a reason we don't record in a
windy courtyard. Yeah. How about you?
Well, my first tip is for the county of Haddonfield, or the town of Haddonfield.
Right.
Wherever it is whoever is responsible for hiring the psychiatric staff. Okay. Now, my tip is to learn from your mistakes.
Okay.
Now, Dr. Loomis was clearly too involved in the case. If you remember, Dr. Loomis, played by
Donald Pleasance. Yeah.
Blofeld himself.
Yeah.
He was too involved, wasn't he? If you remember.
Yeah. Well,
he taught Michael Myers to drive.
Well, didn't he also want him to be executed because he believed you hear a clip
evil.
of Donald Pleasance's voice in this film.
Yeah.
Because he's pure evil. Yeah.
Oh, Dr. Loomis appears not to have married or had any family.
Yeah.
Choosing instead to dedicate his life to studying someone who gives absolutely no sign that they're thinking or feeling anything.
Yeah.
And this is from childhood to adulthood when he takes over the Michael Myers case.
Mm.
And because of his obsession with that, people died. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
On his watch, Michael Myers, did he escape?
Yeah, he was the bus the bus transferring him from between two prisons.
In the original.
Yeah, the bus transferring him between two prisons crashes. Yeah. Well, there's a car accident, road accident. Yeah.
Well, in any case,
because Donald Pleasance rocks up, doesn't he? And there's
when he's in his car.
There's people running about.
Yeah.
In the fields and stuff.
Yes.
And then doesn't Michael Myers drive off in his car?
Something like that.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't watched it since we covered it on the podcast, but it's something along those lines.
In any case, people die because of Dr. Loomis's misjudging the situation.
Yeah, it's
because
he fucked it up.
Yeah. So when interviewing for his job, when he's either retired or died or whatever,
yeah,
don't hire the guy who identifies all of the issues in his methods and says he was so fantastic.
Yeah.
Because
I loved the way he messed everything up.
Yeah, in some jobs, when someone leaves, you might say, it's going to be impossible to replace you.
Yeah.
If only we could find someone who's as good as you.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be the case if it was a man whose negligence caused the death of a dozen people.
Mm.
But here we are. They hired someone who's not just like Dr. Loomis, but idolizes both Dr. Loomis and Michael Myers.
Mm.
And that is why another dozen people are dead.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. Presumably they have to go through some sort of psychiatric profile themselves before they're allowed to meet the patients and things to see if they're going to be in any sort of danger. And I guess there's a chance that he may have developed these tendencies over the past,
Possibly.
20 years or whatever.
But why? Because it's not like say theoretically you could be interviewed like the Joker, right? The Joker in Batman. I know he's not real.
Yeah.
But let's say he manages to convince Harley Quinn to join his side.
Yeah.
Because she's his psychiatrist.
Yeah.
The Joker is a very manipulative person, a very charismatic individual.
Michael Myers has an absence of charisma.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
He has nothing.
Yeah, that's true. But then it's the call of the locked room, isn't it? He spent 40 years trying to understand Michael Myers. And so he's probably it's sent him a bit potty. Right.
So, I got one year for Christmas, the GCHQ puzzle book.
Right.
And they're tough puzzles. They're oblique thinking, lateral thinking, they call it, right?
Yeah.
And some of them will be John, George,
Joseph,
Paul, and you fill in the blank. It's Ringo.
Right.
But you're thinking, Bible characters, and you're thinking, this, that, and the way. That's a basic one. That would be fairly easy to get, but they get very advanced. It would just be the initials of them. It will be things like that, right?
Are they all about the Beatles?
Yeah. But that's section 1, you can look up clues.
Yeah.
Section 2, I've been on the first puzzle in section 2 for about 18 months.
Right.
And
it's driven you. And what you're saying is it would drive you to murder.
I photocopied a bunch of copies of it, so I could work on it in different approach it from different angles, cross out different things, different clues.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
Okay,
I'll crack it one
day. So
you're
not going to join GCHQ anytime soon?
Well, I don't think they have to.
Well, maybe you would, but we'd never know about it.
Yeah,
because you wouldn't be able to tell us.
Yeah, if anyone wants to join GCHQ with me and my team at GCHQ, just email.
At the janitorial section.
Mate, it's my point is that drove me a bit mad.
Yeah.
But I didn't kill anyone.
That's true, yeah. Well, I mean this guy did.
Yeah.
So that was just you showing off, basically, isn't it?
Well, that I can't do a puzzle.
Yeah. Oh, but I can do some of the puzzles. I've got another suggestion for Laurie.
Laurie.
Laurie. Hugh. Laurie.
No, good one, mate.
Yeah.
It's the same word.
Yeah. Basically, we see her with her arsenal of firearms in the basement.
Yeah.
She gets a few out and sort of briefly goes over their sort of key features and what they're good for. For example, she takes out a pump action shotgun and says, "This is tactical."
Yeah.
Right. Now, she seems to forget about that. That various weapons have various applications. Later, when she's stalking Michael around the house
With a rifle?
which has a long barrel and basically makes it much easier for Michael to grab and avoid her gunfire.
Yeah.
Basically, she even says that she prefers a revolver because they never get jammed. So why not use it? We see her earlier in the film cracking a mannequin's head clean off with a revolver bullet.
But yet she opts for the 22.
Yeah, like a big long-barreled rifle, because that's difficult to maneuver through the halls and it's difficult to react, instinctively to threats, as it proves, because Michael's able to get it off her. Right? If she had a handgun or a revolver at that point, it'd make it much more difficult for Michael to disarm her.
Yeah.
And he doesn't appear to have any interest in firearms, so having the gun turned against her doesn't apparently need to be a consideration, does it?
No.
Just another thought.
And if you were going to have it turned against you, you probably would want something that's going to be like send you to Siberia. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to be shot in the stomach with one bullet and now I'm just going to be really in pain for a long time.
Yeah.
A vapor cannon would be good.
A vapor cannon?
Yeah.
Like the things people smoke?
Yeah.
Just one more note on that scene when she's stalking Michael around the house.
Yeah.
Firstly, maybe store your mannequins outdoors instead of indoors, up a flight of stairs and down a winding, narrow corridor, which must have been the most difficult room to get them up to. Like, just leave them outside with all the rest of them.
Yeah.
They don't need to be inside, do they? What you're doing is providing a perfect place for him to hide in the dark, which leads me on to my other point, which is just turn the lights on. If you turn the lights on...
That's what I thought. Like, they've got this, like, what might be described as, like, storm lights.
Right, yeah, like security lights outside.
Floodlighting, right?
Yeah.
Outside. And it's insane. It's like daylight.
Yeah.
But inside, she's like, no, we want darkness inside.
Yeah. Well, she wants darkness inside originally because it means that Michael can't see in. But when she suspects that he's in the house...
all bets are off.
Right. And she's got all the, things that she hits to seal rooms off when she knows Michael isn't in there, which is a very clever device.
Yeah.
But she's just still fumbling around in the darkness, basically, with a flashlight.
Yeah.
And eventually gets stabbed by Michael.
It's true.
Yeah. I mean,
she's just an idiot.
Yeah.
Similar. I'd call turn the lights on functional, but a bit minimal.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah.
Because it's like, horror movie 101, isn't it?
Yeah. Sure.
Similar to that, and similar to your love of firearms. Just shoot him a bunch. Just shoot him loads.
Yeah.
Just like shoot him a million times.
Who's this advice for?
Everyone. Just shoot him. Just keep shooting him. They shoot him in the head and they push him down the stairs.
Yeah.
Into the basement where there's like 1,000 guns.
Yeah.
So at that point, as soon as he's like laying prone on the floor at the bottom of the stairs,
just unload on him.
Just blow him to hell.
Yeah.
Like don't like worry about reloading. Just keep firing. Just like,
So rather than burning him alive, burn him dead.
Cut his head off. Just like shoot him in the spine, shoot him in the hands and legs. Just really fuck him up.
Yeah.
You want to make sure... Like,
you're a bit of a sadist, aren't you?
I'm not.
This isn't very vegan of you.
It's not vegan of me, but Michael Myers is a killer.
He brings the killer out in vegans. Yeah.
If you want to do it properly.
Yeah, what? Just
he survives a headshot.
So, I mean, to boil it down, basically your advice is to kill Michael Myers.
Yes.
Yes. Great. Well, I mean, I can't argue with that. That would be great advice for survival in Halloween.
It's almost like they go for the one thing that could keep him alive.
What's that?
Just burn the house down with him in it. He's obviously going to get out.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait for the start of the next film where they go, well, we found no trace of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure that means he was burned completely to ash, though.
So my final one, which I think is the best one, is to look for Laurie. Just move.
Yeah. This is what I was saying earlier
Go to
about
Paris.
why do people stick around? Why are they all still in Haddonfield? What's so great about Haddonfield?
Yeah, there's no industry there.
No.
It's
Apart from the
unless you're a
looming
policeman.
spectre of Michael Myers, what's
Yeah.
so great about Haddonfield?
You could be a teacher or a policeman
Yeah.
or a babysitter. That's the only job you can have in
Yeah.
Haddonfield. All of them die.
Yeah. Or you can work in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also die.
Yes.
At the hands of one man.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Awful. So yeah, move to like any popular city.
Yeah.
Mike Myers would not work on the subway because everyone would be like, "Oh my god, that guy's killing people," and the police would come and kill him.
Yeah. I mean, one place you could move, Joe, is to the foothills of Shadow Mountain, couldn't you?
Suppose so.
Which is the setting for next week's film, Mandy.
Yep. Now that's a film.
It is a film, yeah.
Yeah. So what's been the best film of today's mentions of films? Do you think it's Halloween, or Final Destination Marathon, or Mandy?
Well, I think it's the Final Destination Marathon, currently available on youtube.com/HowToSurvivePod. Give it a watch.
Do so. It's very good. Thoroughly enjoyable, I'd say.
Yeah, and a lot of people will be saying, well, isn't it not really for them to say? But it is for us to say because we've seen it more than anyone else.
Yeah, I've seen it so many times. It's eyeball bleeding at this point. Eyeball
but in a good
bursting.
way. In a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know when they like often in film reviews, they're like, oh, they had too much fun making it, and then therefore it's not enjoyable.
Yeah.
I can assure you that wasn't the case.
Yeah, we had no fun making it, and therefore it's a much better product for it. It's the equivalent of like when, Francis Ford Coppola or Stanley Kubrick would make people do 70 takes of one scene.
Yeah.
That's how miserable we were.
Yes. I was Shelley Duvall, and you were Jack Nicholson, well rested, smoking a cigar while I cried through the 50th take.
Exactly.
That's the thing with marathon videos. You can't really do more than one take.
No. Imagine. Take 2. 7-hour long takes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as we said, that is available on our YouTube channel. Next week on the podcast is Mandy, the 2018 Panos Cosmatos film. Panos Cosmatos.
Whatever you like, mate.
He's a man. Yeah, he does films. A lot of people recommended his previous film, Beyond the Black Rainbow, which, having seen Mandy, I am now very keen to check out.
Yeah. So look out for that. Maybe in the coming months we might cover it on the pod.
Yeah. This is the point in the show when we always talk about people who have emailed in or tweeted in. The email address is howtosurviveshow@gmail.com and the Twitter handle is @howtosurvivepod. And if you've been listening for the last few weeks, then you might know of the plight of Ben from the Asia Mania podcast, who emailed in, or tweeted in rather, a few weeks ago to say that he'd changed his Tinder profile to reflect our advice to be the most basic person that you can in order to attract mates. And that was in relation to the film The Lobster.
So it's things like saying your favourite movie is The Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Saying your favourite book is To Kill a Mockingbird, because everyone's seen the film, everyone's read the book.
Well, it's funny that you should say To Kill a Mockingbird, because as he mentioned last week, the curriculum in Australia is different. Ben is based in Australia. Yeah. The curriculum in Australia is different to that of England. And so he'd never read To Kill a Mockingbird. I can tell you that Ben has been back in touch to say that Siobhan messaged him, matched with him on Tinder.
No way.
And said, I had read To Kill a Mockingbird at school and can only remember hating it. Can I borrow it to create happier memories of the book? And Ben had sent this screenshot to us with the caption, what do? I can't live this lie. And then followed up with, she unmatched me after I came clean.
How did he come clean?
I don't have that information.
Was it that he just say, I haven't read it?
Well, I presume so, yeah.
And I got the tip from a podcast.
And she's presumably Siobhan is only after people who have read To Kill a Mockingbird.
Wow.
Amazingly, he then had another match from Kate, who said, hi Ben, I like your combo of Anchorman and Pride and Prejudice. I like Orwell's 1984 and the movie Point Break.
Wow. How to Survive favourite.
Yeah, exactly. To which Ben responded with a quote from Point Break, I believe, "We're all going to die. The only question is how."
Yeah.
Maybe the secondary challenge for Ben should be he can only respond in movie quotes.
Yeah.
He said he said to note that he's in Melbourne for the weekend, which is why he's having more matches. He thinks rather than back in Tasmania, where he's normally based. Kate responded to his quote from Point Break by saying, "It's a state of mind. It's a place where you lose yourself and find yourself." And then asks, "What are you looking for on this app, can I ask? You sound too well read to be here."
Wow.
So maybe we need to lower our standards. Maybe we've made Ben overqualified for Tinder.
Yeah.
And Ben says, it's just a little sign off, time to get on Audible, I think. So I think he's going to do his research so that if anyone does come back with more To Kill a Mockingbird's,
excellent,
then he'll be prepared. But so thanks very much for getting in touch on Twitter, Ben. But I understand he's also emailed.
Yeah, Ben is becoming
he's the model listener, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's doing everything we ask.
Yeah.
He's living the How to Survive life, basically. He's got in touch with an audio clip because he hosts the podcast, Asia Mania.
Yeah.
And this is the clip that he sent in, and I'm going to play it out now.
Hey guys, it's Ben here from Australia, or more specifically down in Tasmania. You wanted an update as to how my lobster profile Tinder thing was going. It's been a couple of weeks since I made that profile, and it has gone absolutely rubbish. I've had no matches, which is nothing new for me. But I think it comes down to what photos I have, because you're seeing the photos before you're reading any bio. So I'll probably DM you over Twitter, send through the photos I have, because maybe my photos aren't generic enough. Maybe you can discuss on the podcast the photos I do have there and tell me what I need to change, and I'll keep the lobster stuff in there still, and hopefully I have some better luck. Or ideally, the only way this works out is if it's a fan of the podcast and they recognise the whole bio thing there anyway. So is there any How to Survive fans that are in Tasmania? If there is, perhaps tweet me at AsiaManiaPod, and maybe we could be good friends. Who knows what happens. But considering talking about the lobster a little bit, if I don't meet a mate in 40-something days, then the animal I like to get turned into is a bush baby. You might need to Google those ones. It's an animal I first saw going to the Ueno Zoo in Japan, in Tokyo. A nocturnal small animal that can bounce around and that can jump up to 2.25 meters high. That's what I had to Google. What the hell are these things called? Bush baby, and they got some Galagos or some other name as well. But they are adorable, tiny, and they can jump really high. And they're just fun to watch as well. Anything else to talk about? I don't think so, but love the podcast. Keep doing what you're doing, and I eagerly await the Tinder makeover process. And thank you. Bye.
With an accent like that, he should really be cleaning up.
But what you're forgetting is that he's based... That's the norm where he's from.
Yeah.
So in England, he'd have no trouble, I'm sure.
Yeah, but if everyone has the same accent, then you're like, yeah.
It's just it's not an accent.
If everyone's crazy, then nobody's crazy. Ben wants advice on his pictures.
Yeah, he sent through some pictures to us.
Yeah, and they were okay. So I mean, I'm not on Tinder. Are you?
No.
So this is where it gets a bit of a rub, because I'm married and not on Tinder.
No.
You're in a relationship of some years.
Yeah.
Not on Tinder.
No.
So I went searching for someone who was on Tinder.
Yes.
And this is the person that I found. They've asked to remain anonymous.
Yeah.
For reasons that will become clear.
Okay.
And this is their advice for Ben's pictures.
No, I'm not giving my name on public thing.
Why?
Because I don't want to be known as a single person who's going to be single till they're 30 and then has to turn into a lobster.
Right, okay. You're anonymous.
Yes.
All right. Do you consider yourself a basic bitch?
No.
Okay. You are drinking out of a water bottle that has "Living My Best Life" written on it right now.
Yeah, that's only because it's a suitable, like, water vessel that has a lot in it.
Right.
I don't actually stick to the
You don't live your best
measurements.
life.
No, I do live my best life.
Right.
Well, I was living my best life when I bought it.
Okay. Right. So this guy called Ben, he's worried about his Tinder.
Okay.
So before we came on, I told you about how he has changed it to be about being the most sort of accessible person by making it as neutral as possible. So he sent in a recording today saying that he is worried that his photos are like kind of dilute the message and they make him inaccessible, right?
Okay.
So I'm going to show you some pictures of him now, and you just tell me whether you think he's neutral enough or whether he's a bit too niche, right? Mm-hmm. So this is the first one.
Well, he competed in Tough Mudder, which I would say is quite basic. I think it's
Quite basic.
I think it's something that people think they're really super edgy doing,
Yeah.
but you see it on a lot of Tinder bios.
So if he's trying to be neutral and accessible, keep it or ditch it.
Keep it.
So in this one, he's gone to Japan, I guess. Japan New Wrestling. That's a statue of Antonio Inoki, who you know is a WWE Hall of Famer, of course.
Yeah. It's a bit more niche, but I think because he's got the Tough Mudder thing, it's like he's into the fitness thing, so perhaps it is leaning more on the side of basic.
So this is basic.
No, I don't know.
Is this basic enough? If you saw this...
No, it's not basic enough.
Right, so get rid of it.
Yeah.
All right. Here's number 3.
What t-shirt is that?
It's like a Pulp Fiction t-shirt.
That's very basic.
Yeah. Very neutral.
Yeah.
Everyone's seen Pulp Fiction, right?
I don't know. It's kind of like the t-shirt's basic, but the way he's edited the photo is less basic.
Black and white.
Yeah, and usually boys just post like mirror selfies or a pouting selfie. I don't know if he took that photo himself or someone took it of him.
So you would want it to be more basic. You'd want him to have taken this himself more obviously.
Well, yeah. I mean, if he's going for the basic look, then he needs to have taken the picture in the mirror or have his arms out as if he's got the camera in front of him to take the selfie.
So at least pretending he's taking it, even if he's not.
Yeah.
All right. Is this one? This is like an action shot where he's doing like an obstacle course across a river.
It's definitely not basic enough. It kind of looks like he's into like Boy Scouts or something.
Okay.
Kind of like summer camp.
Summer camp, yeah.
When he was 14.
But I don't think he's 14, eh?
Yeah, I mean, it says that he's fun and a very adventurous person, but he's not basic.
Okay. And then there's this one, which is another Tough Mudder action shot.
And I'd be wary of putting that on there because it makes it look like Tough Mudder's the only thing that he's ever done in his life. Because we've now got 2 photos of Tough Mudder.
3 now.
3. Number 1, we knew that he did the Tough Mudder. Number 2, we definitely know that he did the Tough Mudder. Number 3, it's like, okay, have you done anything else in the last 5 years that you could have...
Well, he went to Japan New Wrestling.
Do we know that he definitely had that photo taken in Japan? Or are we
That's
making
true.
assumptions? That could have been like a restaurant or something that had like a gimmick.
Yeah, that's true. So the final photo is this one.
Is that Austin Aries?
Yeah. So you know Austin Aries, right?
I know Austin Aries because I watch wrestling.
Yeah.
So I'd be able to recognise that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if
He's got a Bullet Club hoodie on.
Yeah, so that's... He's a big wrestling fan.
Yeah.
I think if I was looking at this as someone who didn't watch wrestling, I think he was meeting like...
A bouncer?
A bouncer or a non-famous rapper or some cool guy, like a club appearance or something. Or maybe waited backstage to meet Pitbull.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Austin Aries is a bit of a douchebag looking guy.
Yeah. I'm sure he's a nice guy.
Yeah, okay. So overall, do you think Ben is accessible enough to a large number of people?
I think the Tough Mudder thing yes, just don't overdo it.
Right. What would you be looking for if you were looking for someone who is an everyman? Someone you could take home to meet your mum and you wouldn't be worried? Because to a certain extent, if you brought Ben home to meet your mum, you might be worried that he'd start talking about Austin Aries.
Yeah. No, I don't think you'd be worried that he'd be talking about Austin Aries because he's done
Tough Mudder. He's got that to talk about.
He's got Tough Mudder to talk about. He's up for an adventure. I don't think Ben comes across as a boring, basic guy.
No.
I think if he's trying to fit that stereotype of like the pretty boy who takes photos in the mirror and has a gym pic and I don't know, a picture of him drinking out with his friends with a beer or on a lad's holiday.
Yeah. Is that what you'd want to see?
It's not necessarily what I'd want to see. It's what I see a lot.
And do you find those to be successful on Tinder?
I wouldn't go for a guy who takes like gym pictures because
Too basic.
yeah, it's too basic.
An overcorrection then.
Yeah, so I think if Ben took out the Tough Mudder overkill and maybe put a picture with his friends, because is there actually any...
Yeah, is his friend Austin Aries?
His friend Austin Aries. Okay, I don't know if that guy is his friend or just someone else in the Tough Mudder. I don't think this was Tough Mudder.
No, he's not wearing that, yeah.
So that's just him out being adventurous.
On an obstacle course.
Yeah, I think one with like his pals. And maybe like a smart dressed up photo.
Okay, to prove that he's versatile.
That's usually something people go for. Well, guys I see go for like in a suit or at a wedding or something like that.
Right, okay.
So like they can do both. They can be smart and.
What about animals? I sense that if you pose with a dog, you might get a few.
See, I think that's really embarrassing when people take selfies with their.
So overall, out of 10 for basicness, what are you saying?
4.
Okay.
I'd say the Tough Mudder thing is pretty much the only basic thing that's going on there.
And immediate tips: picture in a suit, picture with the friends.
I think a picture socialising, because it's like Ben might not be a drinker. You don't have to have alcohol in the photo, but just a picture to prove that he's social at a social gathering, maybe.
Yeah.
The Tough Mudder thing is fine, just not too many. A picture scrubbed up nicely. And I think it's nice that he hasn't got a gym selfie or something like that. He's done Tough Mudder, which implies that he is looking after himself and he's fit without being arrogant and...
Yeah, it's an alternative. I mean, he's clearly an alternative guy, and he's taken that into his fitness as well.
Yeah.
So would you go out with him?
I think Tasmania is quite far away.
Yeah.
My Tinder... distance isn't set that far at the moment.
It's like 8,000 miles or whatever.
But I think Ben would be a fun date.
Yeah, as long as you were specifically doing Tough Mudder or wrestling.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time. I'm sure you have a lot of busy things to get back to. So you have to get to Starbucks it's pumpkin spice season, isn't it?
Joe, don't even, stop.
Really?
Don't be rude.
Why? These are things you do.
No, I'm not basic like that.
Okay.
No, stop. Stop it.
Goodbye. Thank you. So there you have it. Interesting insights. So Ben, you have homework.
Yeah.
You need to get a picture of you with your friends.
Yeah.
A picture of you in a suit.
Yeah.
And maybe tone back the Tough Mudder pictures.
Yeah.
One is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also make
a selfie. We need a selfie in there.
Right. Yeah, and do some reading as well as homework. And do keep us up to date in how you get on.
Yeah. And we want to know everything.
Yeah.
So do keep sending in those audio clips.
Yeah.
Because it saves us a lot of time in recording our own.
So thank you to Ben and thank you to everyone who gets in touch. We'll have some more emails from the listeners next week. HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com is the email address, and the Twitter handle is @HowToSurvivePod. So do get in touch.
Well, the night's drawing in.
All Hallows evening.
Yes. The candles have been ebbing within
the pumpkins are going out.
Yeah. And it's time to go to sleep, I think.
Yeah, make sure your doors are locked.
Yes, please. That could be a trick-or-treater at the door, or it could be a 7-foot murderer who's going to stab you in the face.
Great. And on that note, what a lovely note to leave our listeners with.
Well, they knew what they signed up for.
That is true. Thank you very much for listening.
If you've enjoyed it, by the way, why don't, as a special trick or treat, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or whichever pod capturer you use to capture your pods.
Yeah, and share the podcast with your friends this Halloween season. Share the video as well, the How to Survive Final Destination Marathon, available on YouTube.
Yes, if we don't have the same number of views as we got with Saw, then you're personally going to be held accountable, whoever you are.
Yeah, you, the listener.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. See you next week for Mandy. Goodbye.
Why is that the international sound of?
It's amazing
ghosts?
that's not a theremin. That's just Joe's voice. It's quite extraordinary. It really is.
Why is that ghosts?
It's just ghosts, mate. It's what they sound like.
But why?
What, have you never seen one?
But why is that?
Never heard one.
Where did that start?
I don't know, mate. I don't know.
Are they meant to be like wailing because they're in pain or something?
I think maybe. Or is it? It's not really. I don't think they're making them. They're not saying the noise, are they? It's like a. Yeah, it's like the wind, or it's like a sort of. Like a metaphysics noise. It's the noise as the dimensions, intersect with one another.
Intersect
with one another.
Yeah.
It's a ghost.
Yeah. All right. That's it. We're getting much worse at ending these, aren't we?